Now at 5:30, Election Day. People are voting across Western New York and all of New York State tonight. How one race could affect the balance of power in Amherst. Also, the back of the ballot. You are not done voting when you decide on candidates for office. The big changes we could see if this year's 3 ballot questions are approved. And also new tonight, not giving up. How the owner of a sign shop in Buffalo is trying to fight off development in his neighborhood and where he is now taking his fight tonight. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at 5:30 tonight. Today, you have a chance to make your voice heard in several important races and key issues. It is Election Day, of course, and News 4 is your election headquarters. If you still haven't voted, there is still time. Polls are open until 9 o'clock tonight in Erie County. One race we are keeping our eyes on is the race for Buffalo mayor. We are at Canisius College. We were there this morning as incumbent Mayor Byron Brown cast his vote. He is seeking re-election for a 4th term. He has 3 challengers: Erie County Controller Mark Schroeder, who lost to Brown in the Democratic primary. Anita Howard and Terrence Robinson are also running. A highly contested race we're also watching is for Erie County Sheriff. Incumbent Sheriff Tim Howard, a Republican, is being challenged by Democrat Bernie Tolbert. This is video of both candidates voting this morning. And we are also keeping a close eye on the seat for Erie County Clerk. Assemblyman Mickey Kearns is facing a challenge against Stephen Cishon. And the race is heating up for Amherst Town Supervisor tonight. Right now, voters are casting their ballots for either the mayor of the village of Williamsville, Brian Kulpa, or Marjorie Yeager, who is the current Amherst Town Clerk. News 4's Rachel Monjovi continues our live team coverage. She's speaking with voters at the Main Transit Fire Hall in Williamsville. Good evening, Rachel.
Yeah, Nalina. To you. Well, it is election night, and voters tell me that they aren't even familiar with the 2 candidates running for Amherst Supervisor. They say they are strictly voting based off of their party lines. A lot of them tell me that they are sad to see the current supervisor go. Dr. Barry Weinstein is currently serving his 2nd term, and he can't run for re-election. So for those of you who haven't got out to vote yet, and the polling places are still open until 9 tonight, I want to give you some background on those candidates for Amherst Supervisor. Marjorie Yeager is currently the town clerk, and she's running on the conservative Republican Party ballot lines. Many people might know her because her name is listed on a lot of paperwork in the town. People make their property checks out to her. Brian Kulpa is known as the mayor of the village of Williamsville. He's a Democrat running on the Democratic and Green Party ballot lines. He's known for his restoration and development of the village's historic water mill. But still, Amherst residents say even though they don't know much about the candidates, it's all about voting for their party tonight.
I'm voting for Yeager. I voted, there's a question on my mind, I vote Republican.
I am not that really familiar with it, no. I know Barry Weinstein, but his office is up.
Now, tonight's winner will be the supervisor of Amherst for the next 4 years. And at the polling place that we're at right now on Main Street, it's been pretty steady since we've been here. We've seen voters consistently come in. It's never been empty for the past few hours since we've been here. And officials tell me at this polling place that they've already seen more than 1,100 voters come through today. And they say that that's actually higher than it has been in years past. For now, reporting live in Amherst, Rachel Monjovi, News 4 at 5:30.
Rachel, thank you. And today, people are flipping over their ballots to decide on 3 statewide ballot questions. As Morgan Mackay reports, this is your last chance to vote on one of these questions for 20 years.
If we were to have one, would be taking away our rights.
It's hope versus fear. Either you hope things are going to get better or you're afraid they're going to get worse.
The Teachers Union and the League of Women Voters are 2 groups that both feel passionately about the CON-CON. The Teachers Union, like many other unions in the state, are strongly against the CON-CON because they are afraid of losing their pensions. But the president of the union also stated that they are most worried about losing education rights.
Every child is entitled to a free and quality public education, and that could be a jeopardy, which is really horrendous.
However, the League of Women Voters explains that this is not about losing rights at all. Instead, voters have a chance at adding in equal rights for women, those with disabilities, and the LGBTQ community.
In the last 9 convention conventions we've had, we have never taken anything out of the Constitution. All we do is we add and we add and we add.
The teachers union made close to 500,000 phone calls to voters across New York and put out bumper stickers and lawn signs to urge as many people as they could to vote no on a con they believe will be corrupted.
There's outside money, folks that do not like unions, folks that do not like public education, do not support workers' rights. They would be all over this.
Yet the league points out that things such as pensions were actually added during a con.
I think it's important for people to remember that. And at the last constitutional convention, there was 8 pension officials who served as delegates.
And just as a reminder, you do have to turn the ballot over to vote on the con question. Reporting from the Capitol, I'm Morgan Mackay.
Joining me live now to talk about today's races is Republican Carl Calabrese, who has been involved with politics in Western New York for over 30 years. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay, first let's talk about voter turnout in the city versus the suburbs. Based on years past, I mean, how does that affect the key races?
Well, it's very, very important because you really have no competitive races in the city. Not only do you not have a major party line opponent to Mayor Byron Brown, but you've got no councilmanic races either. Everything was decided in the September primary. So without those kind of competitive Republican-Democrat races in the city, you probably will have a very low turnout in the city, and that will affect candidates running for countywide office on the Democratic ticket.
Now, I understand that you're also watching a race in the Erie County Legislature. Tell me about that. Why are you watching that particular race?
Well, the county legislature is up for grabs. The Republicans now control it 6-5, and there's 2 or 3 really interesting races. One is in District 5, which is Guy Marlette versus Tom Logren. That's a rematch of a race 2 years ago that was really close. And then another race is out in Cheektowaga, which is the incumbent is Ted Morton. He's being challenged by a John Brusso. That's going to be probably a close race. And then the other big one is the 10th legislative district, where you've got legislator Joe Lorigo being challenged by a newcomer, Sue Schoeneman.
Is that one race where you said there's been an unprecedented amount of money spent there, too?
I've been told by both parties that when it's all totaled up, you could see between $150,000 and $200,000 of expenditures between the both parties for a county legislative seat. That really is remarkable, and I think somewhat unprecedented. It's huge, to quote a certain auto dealer. Yes.
Let's talk about one more thing. Amherst supervisor race.
Yeah.
Why are you watching that race? We just heard Rachel Monjovi's report. She's reporting that they think that there are more people there than in years past voting. What's your take?
Well, this is a very important race because Amherst is one of the largest suburbs, not just in Erie County, but statewide. And so it's an interesting race to watch. You're going to have a new supervisor because the incumbent is term limited, but you also have control of the town board up for grabs. It's now currently controlled by the Democrats. If the Republicans do well out there, that could flip. And so you've got an indication that the town of Amherst may be changing, issues may be changing, and party control may change because of it.
Got it. Republican Carl Calabrese, thank you. I have to point out that Democrat Len Lenahan will join all of us tonight at 10 o'clock on the CW23 when those results start coming in. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Appreciate it. We'll see you later. Also new at 5:30. Election Day falls on the day after the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote in New York State. Forest Lawn Cemetery hosted an anniversary celebration this morning. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul and others marked the fight to give women the right to vote, one that started in New York in 1848.
No other state in our nation can lay claim to the fact that they are the birthplace of the women's rights movement. It happened here. It happened in Buffalo. It happened in Seneca Falls. It happened on Long Island. It happened in our state because of brave, courageous women and enlightened men who went against the tides of their time.
New York State will run a series of programs to honor women's suffrage until 2020. That will be a century since the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution that gave women the right to vote across the country. Do not go anywhere. Todd Santos tells us just how cold it's going to get tonight. His full forecast is next. Also, first after this short break, Al Vaughters joins us live with one Buffalo business owner's fight to keep his store open on one corner that is set to be transformed. And later on News 4 at 6, how a puppy and fallen officer James Shields' son will make sure fallen officer Craig Lander's name lives on forever.